Go ahead and start off today with the head coach of Appalachian State, Scott Satterfield. Coach Satterfield, would you mind starting us off with an opening statement while our members of the media hit star one to get in the queue?
Yes. I mean, just first of all, we're very excited to start the season. We're obviously had a great year last year and coming off of that, and really good off season, and so now it's finally here. We're pumped about that. We do have a big challenge ahead of us this week, playing Penn State up on the road in their place, a hostile environment, and but really excited about going and doing that. Coach Franklin, his staff, and their players have done a great job. They have some really good players, good scheme, coached well. A lot of things that you look for in a top 10 program. They have that, and then so it's a big challenge, but we're looking forward to it, and our guys are eager, to show the hard work they put in the off season and show what they got.
Our first questions come from Ethan Joyce with the Winston-Salem Journal. Please go ahead, Ethan.
Hey, Scott. You've gone through 5 of these season openers now as a head coach. What's this week like for you as you build toward that season opener? And I guess what's maybe changed since that first one that you had when you started?
Well, I mean, not really a whole lot. I mean, we pretty much do it the same way that we get prepared for any game. It just happens to be the first one, and I think there are some questions that have to be answered whenever you do play a first game. You're trying to find the identity of the team. You're trying to find your strengths, your weaknesses, what you do well, and that's what you want to do. You have an idea about that going into the opening game. And it's the same thing with personnel. You have a pretty good idea on most of your personnel, but there are a couple of guys that you don't really know what they're going to do until they get out there and play in that first game. So those are some of the unknowns. But as far as preparation goes, we treat it like any other game. I mean, it's the same prep, for that opening game. So you gotta get some questions answered throughout that first game and see where you need to improve and those type of things.
For you personally, has your perception of kind of getting ready for a week change, just going from a first-time head coach in 13 to now?
Well, I mean, I think it's different. I'm in 13. You're in a different role. You're a head coach, and so probably the first game, you're trying to figure some things out, being in it first time. But since that season, you still what you're doing. You're getting ready for it, and and now this will be my 6th year as a head coach. So you pretty much treat it the same as I've done all the games, and so. But it all comes back to preparation. To me, it's what you do the week prior to your game. It's not really only on that game day. On that game day, all the preparation is done, and you're going out and just trying to execute. But it's still exciting for me. I'm excited for this first game as I was, in 13 for that first game. So, to me, I just love the competition. I love to be able to go out and compete and try to do your very best to get a win.
Thanks, Scott.
Yep.
Thank you, Ethan. Our next questions come from Josh Moyer with the Central Daily Times. Please go ahead, Josh.
Thanks. Hey, Scott. Trace McSorley, Penn State's quarterback, is widely seen as a Heisman contender. I'm just curious, what have you seen from him on film so far? And ideally, how do you stop a player like that?
Well, I think just the thing that stands out about him is that he's just a football player. He's not a prototypical NFL caliber as far as the size, maybe the arm strength that you look for that, but he is what we like to call just a football player. He makes plays with his legs, with his arm. Whatever's going to be asked of him, he'll do it. If the play is breaking down, he still can make those plays, get the ball in the hands of those playmakers. They utilize his legs quite a bit, and I think that's what separates him from a lot of players. I think it's very tough to defend, and what he does, he takes care of the football, and he puts their offense in position to make plays. You look at last year, they score a lot of points throughout the season, and they're just extremely difficult to defend, and I think he's a catalyst for everything they do offensively.
All right, thank you, Josh. Our next questions come from Mark Wojniak with the Allentown Morning. Please go ahead, Mark.
Hi, thanks, Scott. Saturday, you probably get this a lot. Saturday is the 11th anniversary of Appalachian State versus Michigan. Coach Franklin brought that up last week as a reminder of his kids of what can happen, on any given Saturday in college football. How is that how can coaches in your position use it? A coach like James Franklin will use it to get his kids as a reminder. How can that be a benefit to your team in games like this?
Well, it just proves that if on a special day that anything can happen. You have to go in and you have to have that belief that you can get it done. And I think that just proves that you can get it done. It just happens to be our school that did it, back in 2007. And there's other examples throughout sport history that I think that proves that fact that no matter how big the underdog is, that they always have a chance and an opportunity to win. And that proves it. And so that's basically what it is. For us, we don't really ever talk about it. I mean, you do it in the off season, you do it in recruiting. I mean, but throughout leading up to play a football game, we're trying to put our preparation in and do the best we can do on that day. That was 11 years ago with a different team, different staff, different everything. So it just proves that the underdogs can go in and win a game.
What do you seem to remember most about that day, being on the sideline there?
Well, I was in the press box just calling the plays that day. I remember everything. I remember everything about that day. It was a special day. I remember, playing at 12 noon on the Big Ten, the very first game on the Big Ten Network. And I remember scoring on our first third down we had. We threw a slant, and Dexter Jackson takes it close to 70 yards for a touchdown. And we knew at that point we had a chance to hang with these guys. And we did enough to hang on at the end and kick the field goal and obviously block the kick at the very end. I visualized the whole game. I can see it. And, obviously it was a special day. If anybody that was an App State fan or a player or coach that was there, it was a great day and one that we'll never forget.